Shalom Chaverim. Today we're talking about Parashat Shemini. It's Shabbat, Parashat Shemini, and it's also the week when we commemorate Yom HaShoah, which is the Holocaust Remembrance Day. So to tie Parashat Shemini to Yom HaShoah, I wanted to talk about thoughtlessness. So let's begin. In our portion gives us the account of basically the very dramatic day of the inauguration of the Mishkan, of the tabernacle. And Aaron, who's appointed the high priest, and his sons are really laboriously do the preparation for 7 whole days that are called Shivat Yemei Miluim, and this is the 7 whole days where they are preparing for that really great moment of receiving the Shekhinah, of receiving the divine dwelling on the tabernacle. And in that enthusiasm, and there are many parshanuyot, many interpretations for this, Aaron's 2 sons, Nadav and Avihu, go into the Mishkan, and they offer what is only described as foreign fire or esh zara, and this is the type of offering that was not instructed of them to offer, and they are hence consumed by the fire and they die. And again, like I mentioned, there are many parshanuyot about what exactly happened. Some say they were drunk, some say they were overly enthusiastic, some say that they just made a mistake. But it is a very tragic death in a time which was supposed to be very joyous for Aaron and his family. And to make things worse, not only Aaron loses 2 sons, on the day which was supposed to be his great day, his great moment, Aaron and his family are actually forbidden to grieve publicly. So this is a celebration, this is a chag, and while they are of course allowed to grieve individually and personally and out of sight, they are not to display the usual signs of mourning, of grief publicly, which makes things even more painful for them. And if that is not enough, Moses, in fact, comes to Aaron, and with all that, with the death of his 2 sons, and with the fact that he cannot grieve publicly, Moses is angry at him about not sacrificing the korban chatat, the sin offering, according to the rules. So it's like, think about it, chutzpah, right? But here is the exchange. All right? So, וצעיר החטאת, דרש משה, והנה, שורף, ויקצוף על אלעזר ועל איתמר בני אהרון הנותרים לאמור. Okay, so what's happening here? Moses comes, seeing how the sin offering was handled, and getting angry, and it says, on Bnei Aaron HaNotarim, on the remaining sons of Aaron. Okay, some interpreter says that Notarim means they are next to die, for not handling the Korban Chatat properly. And Moses continues, he says, מדוע לא אכלתם את החטאת במקום הקודש? כי קודש קודשים הוא, ואותה נתת לכם לשאת את עוון העדה, לכפר עליהם לפני אדוני. So basically what he's telling them is, why didn't you eat the chatat? So the korban chatat, the sin offering, had to be partially consumed and partially eaten by the kohanim. Whereas, for example, korban olah, the burnt offering, were to be consumed entirely. So they kind of treated the chatat like it was olah. It was, the whole thing was burnt, and they didn't eat of it. And לא הובא את דמה אל הקודש פנימה, אכול תאכלו אותה בקודש כאשר ציוויתי. So basically, why didn't you eat? It's a korban chatat. Why didn't you eat out of it? And look at Aaron's response. And Aaron's response is nothing short of profound, and it's what lead us to talk about our topic today. וידבר אהרון אל משה, הן היום הקריבו את חטאתם ואת עולתם לפני אדוני, ותקרנה אותי כאלה ואכלתי חטאת היום, היטב בעיני אדוני. So what Aaron is saying is, you want me today to eat some of the sacrifice that the people, the Israelites, brought to me to atone for their sins, and I have to eat them. I, who must have done something so horrible to lose 2 sons. I'm probably the greatest sinner that you can imagine right now. Do you think God would approve me eating part of that sacrifice to atone for the people's sins? So basically, when Aaron said, Haytav be'enei Adonai, it means to say, would Adonai have approved? The literal translation is even prettier. It's like, would it be pretty in the eyes of God? Haytav be'enei Adonai. Would it be good in the eyes of God? So if I were to modernize and secularize what Aaron was saying to Moses, is basically he's telling him, with all due respect to the rules, one must use their human gift and ability of thoughtfulness to know when to break the rules. So basically what Aaron is saying is that rules are rules, but there are some instances where you actually have to use your ability to think and not abide by them blindly. And that, of course, brings us to the very famous Eichmann in Jerusalem, a report on the banality of evil, the famous Hannah Arendt book. For those of you who are unfamiliar, Hannah Arendt was a Jewish German philosopher born in 1906. She basically had a very, very interesting biography. She received her doctorate by Karl Jaspers, who was her teacher, and she had an affair with Martin Heidegger when she was 17 years old, and of course in 1937, when she lost her German citizenship, and due to the rise of the Nazis, she escaped to France and then to the United States, and became a college professor in the United States, actually in New York, and a reporter who was writing for the New Yorker. In 1961, Hannah Arendt was sent to Jerusalem to cover the Adolf Eichmann trial for the New Yorker. And her work was very important and very, very controversial as well. So Hannah Arendt, who listened to this very dramatic and public trials, and as Gideon Hausner, the prosecutor, was in his opening speech of the trial, he said, I'm standing here today, and there are 6 million accusers standing here with me. And this was really the first time that the world actually saw a real-time account of one Holocaust survivor after another, telling the horrors of the Holocaust. Eichmann's role in it, he was basically a transportation expert. He was in Hitler's cabinet, in charge of the Jewish question, but more logistically. His main role was to make sure that the trains goes from the ghettos to the death camp and arrive on time. And Arendt was sitting in that trial, and what she saw, and this is what this book is about, is really a gray, boring bureaucrat who was doing nothing short of following orders, and that sometimes evil is banal. That's the banality of evil. Sometimes evil is not monstrous, but is exactly the manifestation of a human who turns off their ability to think. And this is exactly what we are learning from our Parshah. So going to read just a little bit in her words to illustrate that. For when I speak of the banality of evil, I do so only on the strictly factual level, pointing to a phenomenon which stared one in the face at the trial. Eichmann was not Iago and not Macbeth, and nothing would have been farther from his mind than to determine with Richard III to prove a villain, except for an extraordinary diligence in looking out for his personal advancement. He had no motives at all. So here she claims that he wanted to please his boss. That there was no other motivations that we can, associate with, the greatest villains of literature, right? I'm skipping here a little bit. He merely, to put the matter colloquially, never realized what he was doing. It was sheer thoughtlessness, something by no means identical with stupidity, that predisposed him to become one of the greatest criminals of that period. And if this is banal and even funny, if with the best will in the world one cannot extract any diabolical or demonic profundity from Eichmann, that is still far from calling it commonplace. That such remoteness from reality and such thoughtlessness can wreak more havoc than all the evil instincts taken together, which perhaps are inherent in men. That was, in fact, the lesson one could learn in Jerusalem. So Arendt claims that we have a God-given ability to think and to make decisions. And Eichmann basically removed himself from humankind by not exercising this ability. And I think that her analysis is fascinating, but I really, really want to open a big disclaimer here. Hannah Arendt was de facto wrong, just because when she covered the trial, she didn't have the evidence that we have today. There were tapes that were revealed in which Eichmann actually expressing his I have no other word but monstrous anti-Semitism and passionate enthusiasm for his role. He did it out of, he did it ideologically, he did it passionately and with intention, and he lied in the court when he said, I was just following orders. Now, Hannah Arendt, who's brilliant, did not know that and did not know that he was lying. We know that today, but still her analysis is very, very important. And I think that it is still true when it comes to people who commit horrendous crimes just without thinking. So our tradition really, really astonishingly calls us to not follow the rules, calls us to think first. And even when it comes to the rules that we adhere to the most, the rules of the Torah, we must stop and first think about them. And here is Talmud, okay? Baba Metzia, דאמר רבי יוחנן, לא חרבה ירושלים אלא על שדנו בה דין תורה. So what does it mean? Rabbi Yochanan said, Jerusalem was destroyed only for the fact that they adjudicated cases on the basis of Torah law in the city. Look at this. Talmud saying Jerusalem was destroyed because people followed the rules. And the rules of the Torah. Right? So the Gemara asks, so what do you want them to do, right? The Gemara asks, אלא דיני דמגיסתא לדיינו, אלא אימה שהעמידו דיניהם על דין תורה ולא עבדו לפנים משורת הדין. Okay? So the Gemara asks, okay, rather, what else should they have done? Should they rather adjudicated cases on the basis of arbitrary decisions? Rather say that they established the rulings on the basis of Torah law and did not go beyond the letter of the law. So you can sin not just with Aaron, who tells Moses, forget about the rules, right? Ask a simple question. Haytav be'enei Adonai. Would God approve? Right? And what is would God approve? This is our natural instinct for ethics. For those of you who may be more secular, think about Haytav be'enei Adonai. Would God approve as what is your ethical instinct telling you? Another support for this idea comes from Rav Kook in his book Orot HaKodesh, and this is also very powerful. So Rav Kook is saying, דבר מוכרח הוא שיסגל האדם לעצמו את המוסר הטבעי הפשוט בכל רוחבו ועומקו ואת יראת השם, ותמצית את האור של האמונה הפשוטה וכל מידותיה ברוחב ובעומק, ועל גבי שתי הסגולות הללו יבנה את כל מעלות רוחו העליונות. So basically what Rav Kook is saying here is that a person must have, together with their fear of God, the natural instinct for ethics. And here is the key. He's saying, אסור ליראת שמיים שתדחק את המוסר הטבעי של האדם, כי אז אינה עוד יראת שמיים טהורה. Alright, what it means in this beautiful translation by Rabbi Golden is, it is forbidden for the fear of God to replace one's inborn ethics, because in doing so, the fear of God becomes no longer pure. So this is again from Rav Kook that is saying there's the fear of God, there's the rules, there's the halacha, but it's worthless if it's not combined with natural ethics and with our ability to make moral decisions. And I think that to really bring it to today, we might not work in huge murderous bureaucracies like Adolf Eichmann was a part of, but we are part of large systems, and we all work for institutions, and we would like to be excellent, and we like to follow the rules, and we like to be great employees, and sometimes the greatest service as an employee is to worry about an institution's bottom line or well-being, but in the process we may make decisions that could harm people's livelihoods, that could harm other people's well-beings. And our Torah portion and Hannah Aaron all tell us, stop and ask a simple question. Haytav be'enei Adonai. Would God have approved? But in a really inner ethical sense of the meaning of the word God. I wish you all Shabbat Shalom.